Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this channel originally started as a way to have a dialogue with Italians, Italian Americans about our culture. Me speaking as an American with Italian heritage and kind of looking at the differences between Italians in Italy, Italians of Italian descent in America. And today we're going to talk about something pretty brutal that happened in Italy to an Italian American. Because, I haven't seen this so much in the news media, and I haven't seen anyone really talking about it. I only just discovered it. So I think it should be talked about. And, even to serve as a warning for those of us who visit the homeland. So, we Italian Americans, people born in the US with an Italian background, were raised to believe we come from this beautiful culture, a nation of artists, of history, of religion, all of these great things with an important emphasis on family, tradition, etc. But then when we go to visit the Italy of today, we don't realize how much things have changed in just maybe 100 years since our family has left. The poverty that they left from southern Italy about a century ago, that is largely gone, even though it still is there. But a new phenomenon, actually, that we have today happening in Italy is mass immigration. And, this video is not to attack, demonize, generalize about groups of people, but just to inform that there is a change taking place in Italy where, someone like me comes from Italian background to visit Italy and we discover, gee, it's more diverse than I expected. It's not all Italians. It's a different country than maybe we expected, especially in the big cities. So now we have a story from the Daily Mail. 5 days ago, July 15th, Nick Pellegrino, and let me pull up the article. Nick Pellegrino, who is an Italian American, was stabbed by migrants while vacationing in Italy. So here I'll quote a little bit from the Daily Mail. We have Nick Pellegrino, 29, a Staten Island-born Catholic school coach, now living in San Francisco, was ambushed by two migrants while traveling through San Giuliano Milanese. He says he narrowly escaped with his life after losing more than a liter of blood in the horrific attack on Tuesday. And the pair, believed to be North African, stabbed him in the neck with a 5-inch blade, snatched his gold crucifix and luggage, and vanished, leaving Pellegrino slumped in a pool of blood on the platform. Pellegrino told the New York Post, quote, "With these very loose lefty immigration laws, these immigrants come into these countries and they're running amok, trying to murder people." He said that from his hospital bed. "It's a playground for terror for the vicious," he said. He also said, "I know America has a big immigration problem, but it is worse here." Just to continue on for more context, because many of us Italian Americans, we come back to Italy to visit our families, to discover our heritage, where we came from. So the Daily Mail article continues, Pellegrino, who was visiting relatives in Italy, said the attack unfolded moments after the train pulled into the station. So it happened in a train station. He'd been looking at his phone when the men charged him. I remember looking at the floor in the train and just seeing the blade of the knife in the most frightening amount of blood I have ever seen. The blade pierced his neck and grazed his jugular. Emergency workers later told him he'd lost around 1.5 liters of blood. And here in the article, we have some pictures of him with an Aperol spritz. Just enjoying his vacation, and then we have the picture of him being treated. Luckily, he survived. Um, the article continues. Somehow he managed to stagger off the train. A 16-year-old boy called for help. He was begging for his life. He said, "I don't want to die, Lord." And to hear this is absolutely incredible. I'll close out the article there because this is, we've covered the most important information. But he was asking the Lord, he was saying to the Lord he didn't want to die. Now, if you are Nick Pellegrino from an Italian family, you're visiting Italy, this is the last thing you expect probably to happen to you, especially when we've been told such incredible things about our homeland, and we go back and we just want to experience the traditions, the culture, the land that our ancestors left. But we don't realize that Europe nowadays has changed. This is not even a rare occurrence anymore. I wouldn't say it happens every day in Italy, but also I'm not educated enough to know, maybe. But I do see what I see with my own eyes, which here in Rome is a city where, there are peaceful people who are Italian, there are peaceful people who are migrants, there are people who are not peaceful who are Italian, there are people who are not peaceful who are migrants. But to hear stories like this sounds like something that we would think the mafia would do, or something like, maybe he saw something happen and, they're trying to cover something up. I don't know, something from a film gone wrong. But this is just a normal, regular Italian American visiting his homeland, and this could have been any one of us. It could have been any American tourist, it could have been any tourist, but it happens to an Italian American. This was the country he came from. These are his roots, and this is what he comes to discover. So I just want us to think about this, because most people don't know this is happening, some events like this, and most people don't know how Italy has changed. So I'll let you think for yourself. I'm not here to give you any super strong opinions, but I will say I think Italy needs to get its problem with migration under control. If you commit crimes, you should be sent back to your own country. I think that's something most people would agree with. And really, Italy needs to think about what it's going to do with migration in the future. Giorgia Meloni, she's the leader of Italy right now. They say she's a fascist, she's a right-wing extremist. But she has been somewhat stronger on illegal migration, but she just recently has passed through a new decreto flussi, which is, I believe it's a law that regulates the number of legal migrants that Italy accepts to do its work, fill its jobs, because, the birth rate is so low, so they need someone to do the jobs. And so in the next few years, I believe 500,000, 500,000 legal migrants will be coming into Italy. So, if this is the action of a right-wing fascist, I would ask, then what really does it mean to be conservative, right-wing? Like, if even letting in lots of new migrants is right-wing, what is someone like me who believes we should, not accept immigrants, only in, we should keep open the door for some refugees, true refugees in danger, but, to accept in an amount of immigrants that, for example, Germany or Sweden or France have, and then to see what is happening there. I think those of us who have a strong attachment to Italy should be, deeply involved in this issue, because this is going to determine the fate of our homeland, the country our ancestors came from. And if we think things are not going in the right direction, we kind of have a duty to speak up, advocate for laws that will be to the benefit of Italy, and yeah, just not be silent at a time when stories like this are not usually covered in the news. So that's all for today. Just something to think about. Sorry if it's a little brutal, but sometimes the truth hurts, and we have to know what's going on. We can't be blind to these things. Okay, so have a great day, you guys. Thank you for listening.